Memorial Day is one of the most special days of the year for our nation. It's a time where we come together and we remember those that have given the ultimate sacrifice.
Memorial Day to me is a day of deliberate remembrance that we have, and I think it's our duty as a nation to go through and honor the people that were killed in action. It demonstrates the value we put on the cost of our freedom.
Operationally, we pause and we get a chance to really reflect, to see how far we've come and who paved the way before us.
As I think about Memorial Day and I think about the legends that have gone before us.
I think of Lieutenant Colonel Chris Otis Raible.
First person that comes to mind is Brad Atwell.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
I think back to the sacrifices that they've made and how we in the future will follow on in their footsteps to be able to fight and win the way they did.
I met Lieutenant Colonel Raible on my first deployment to Iraq. I was with VMA 211 at the time. He was VMA 223's weapons and tactics instructor. We formed a little bit of a connection there. He took me under his wing since I was the young guy. It was widely known in the community that he was one of the most tactically and technically proficient pilots that we had in the Harrier fleet. The longest part of flying with Otis Raible was a debrief. There were people that would be in there sometimes till midnight, and he would be debriefing for like 4 hours. He'd go through frame by frame of everything that you did and look at every single little detail. They made us excellent CAS pilots, and it made it safer for the Marines on the ground, and it made us more effective in engaging that enemy in close proximity to those Marines on the ground.
There you go. There's four. There's four.
It reduced the risk of fratricide.
I met Brad in Cherry Point. We were both in the same unit, same shop. Our relationship, the best way to describe it is like the brother and sister. As a technician, he was the person that was always able to think outside of the box. If there's ever anything that we needed help with, I would pull Atwell aside and be like, hey man, like, help me work this out. Be like, oh yeah, look, it's this, 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 this. And then probably make fun of me for it afterwards. But still, you know, he was just that go-to person.
Our workup for Afghanistan was an integrated training exercise in 29 Palms. It was about 5 to 6 weeks long. Prior to going there, we had to be proficient at everything that we were going to do. So there was an informal build-up cycle that was designed by Lieutenant Colonel Raible. He created this document, and it was Otis's expectations of us as his attack pilots. Squadron commanders still use that to this day. In his 6 tenets, one of them was professional hunger. One of the things in professional hunger was that you can teach to a good attitude. You might not be the best pilot in the room, but if you had a good attitude and you had professional hunger, that's something that he could work with, and that's something he wanted to work with.
Sergeant Atwell was finishing up some training. He calls me up and he's like, hey, guess what? I got orders to MAWs 13. I'm like, oh great, I'm gonna leave here in a few months, but we'll have a few months to hang out and catch up. One of the next questions that he asked me was, I see you've gone to Afghanistan already and you've done the deployment. It's my turn now. And we kind of sort of joked around about it, but then afterwards he was like, hey, no, seriously, I want to go out there. I want to go out to, as we called it at the time, the dirt. He's like, I want to go out there. I want to volunteer. I spoke to the leadership and I said, hey, I got this Marine. He's a sergeant, he's inbound. He's great, awesome leader. You want him out there. Essentially, I ended up being the one that put his name on the roster. I still think about that. I think about what would have happened if I didn't put his name on that roster. What would have happened if he went somewhere else? Would he still be here? But once I heard the stories about what he did in his final moments and how heroic he was, it made sense.
He had just come off an evening flight and he was eating dinner with the aircraft maintenance officer at the time, Major Greer Chambliss.
We looked up the flight line and quickly realized that the airfield was under attack. There was maybe 1 second where we were thinking what to do, and then Colonel Raible sprang into action.
There's an argument that an 05 commander could sell himself in his head that he's the commander. He shouldn't be there. He should be in a place where he can be more strategic and take care of his squadron. But Otis didn't even consider that.
I will tell you that there's only one thing that a hero fears: letting down a fellow Marine. That day, he did not fail.
When they were being attacked, he went and looked out front and could see that there were people running around. He organized the counterattack, one led by him going out the northern door, and the other led by Major Greer Chambliss going out the southern door. Otis was killed right next to the northern door. I was down south when all this was going on. I was already asleep. I was awakened by explosions. I could hear machine gun fire. I could hear RPGs, so I knew that it wasn't indirect fire. It wasn't an accident that had happened. I could tell that there was a fight going on outside. My decision to move up to the flight line wasn't really a decision at all. The jets on the line were all burned to the ground. When I got there, Captain Smalley was there, and he was tapped into ISR feeds that were overhead, drones with cameras. He was communicating our situation to the outside world. He was setting the stage for everything. He went in there and he figured it out. And then it got quiet, and there wasn't much noise happening outside. I think that they knew where we were, and they were trying to figure out how to get to us. So I decided that I was going to go get them. I got Staff Sergeant Jesse Colburn, Lance Corporal Derek Jenkins, and Lance Corporal Weekly. I said, hey, everybody do a brass check. And they all did a brass check, pulled the charging handle back a little bit and looked and made sure that they could see brass. And then they all hit their forward assist. You have 3 aircraft maintainers did the same thing without looking at each other, without asking each other. That struck me in the moment that every Marine's a rifleman.
These aircraft were either struck by RPGs or some kind of explosive device, caused them to explode and go up in flames. And this is just the remnants of what's left of the canopies.
Like a lot of Marines, I wear a memorial bracelet. My bracelet says, Sergeant Bradley Wayne Atwell, USMC, Enduring Freedom, 14 September 12, 2012, KIA, for killed in action. Every single chance I have to talk about Sergeant Atwell, whether it's to my Marines, anybody that even asks me a simple question is, hey, why do you wear what you wear on your bracelet, Master Sergeant? I jump to the opportunity to just mention Sergeant Atwell.
It's all about their name. It's about saying their name. It's about telling their story. And it's about helping keep that legacy alive. The sacrifice that Colonel Otis Raible and Sergeant Atwell made that day, that's a sacrifice that we must hold and honor through courage and commitment. It's about the warrior family that takes care of each other, even in the toughest times. Every decision that I make within the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing is focused on them. It's focused on making sure that the men and the women that serve daily are prepared, ready to go forward and to do our nation's bidding when that time comes. It's about making sure that our families are prepared, that they understand the sacrifice, they love our service members, and I think that's what this is all about. Memorial Day is a day of love. It's a day in which we think about what we as a nation do for the world